satellites in this atmosphere that can see an ant crawling on the ground.
Yeah.
You know? That's how.
In addition to that, Facebook is a great tool for me and others to keep in contact with friends and family. But with some people, they will let that replace the human relationship because it gets easier. Just push a couple text messages and let that be the friendship. Now, you said you also lived in Portland, which is my hometown, and that was back in the
Back in the 80s.
back in the 80s. And you actually saw it outside of my show a long time ago.
Yeah,
when you were
I watched your program out there when I was living out there in Portland.
Look at this freak on TV.
Well, a lot of people may call you a freak.
Yeah.
But you're just human just like I am.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Everybody has their own views.
Mm-hmm.
You know? You can't sit there and say, oh, everything I say is, you know, the gospel. You know? It's all on what we feel in our hearts, you know, and different people have different way of putting things out there to the public. Well, me, I'm not one that can sit around, you know. Me doing this right here is something totally beyond me because.
Well, I enjoy doing it. I'm glad I was. Tell me real briefly, though, what you'd like to share with the people watching the video that are in Portland about some of the experiences you've had there or some of the hindsight you have looking at Portland from the mid-1980s perspective from someone that's been in the trenches. Because Portland's, still a very rough town, but it's also changed quite a bit.
Well, I haven't been out there in Portland for quite a few years because of the way I was treated out there by the police. Mm-hmm. I was badly abused, beaten, and pretty much left for dead. I mean.
Yeah, you confirmed some stories for me. I heard from others about people being beat with hoses with sand filled in them in the old jail on 3rd Avenue. Portland's old gangster past, and sometimes the gangsters were the police and were in the city council.
Yeah, it was pretty bad back in the day out there living on the streets, especially for homeless people, because police officers would take water hoses and fill them with sand, and they'd whoop your butt with them,
Mm-hmm.
And nothing more than because you're homeless and you was walking down the street with a backpack on your back. To them you wasn't nothing but a pile of garbage. But, hey, I've got the right to breathe just like anybody else does.
Right.
And
that's unfortunate what happened, but it's important for people to hear that because some people think that maybe Portland might be a utopia and separate. The city is separate from all the other social ills that other cities go through, when in fact it's got its own dirty laundry.
Yeah, our government is filled with dirty laundry.
Yeah.
But that's another story. But as far as the way it was back in them days, compared to what it is now, it's a lot different because nowadays you've got people that will semi-protect the homeless people.
Right.
In other words, it's not nowhere near as bad as it used to be, and they're trying to.
They have some drug programs to help people that are serious about moving on with their life.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we just gotta. If people in this country don't start standing up for their own rights, we ain't gonna have none because they're gonna take every damn thing we've got.
And sometimes it takes a situation where someone's actually homeless themselves to have the ability to have empathy for others that are suffering without passing judgment or assuming that there is something deeply psychologically wrong with them if they aren't able to come together with enough Federal Reserve notes to pay for shelter.
Well, a lot of people in this country, especially homeless people, they're scared to stick their neck out because if a homeless person in certain cities in this country stick their nose out there, you could disappear real quick.
And there's a lot of stories in Portland that people have told me that I've wondered whether they were true or not. Some sound very far out, very conspiratorial, if you will. Might be surprising for some people to hear me use that word. in reference to someone else's view, but people have talked to me for years about people being snatched from the streets in Portland and taken to various places for experimentation. It sounds far out, but when dozens of people tell you the same story, are they all alcoholic, drunk, hallucinating their abuses? Because Portland has a lot of stories about people having their heads bashed in with fire hydrants. Just because they're on the street.
It's the truth. It's the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, while I was living out there on the streets, quite a few of the homeless people that I used to run with out there, and I mean, some of these were ex-military boys, and they just get, they just disappear, and for what reason? Other than nothing other reason than they was trying to stand up for their rights. In this country, as far as political people are concerned, homeless people don't have no rights.
So as we conclude this video, what are some of the most important messages that you want to convey to those with an open mind that are taking the time to listen to what we're saying, and or your hopes for the future, some of the directions you'd like to see this country or society take?
If people had more understanding about what homelessness is, instead of taking it and using it as a disadvantage to homeless people, and getting other people to have an open mind, and say, hey, look, this guy's just down on his luck. He needs help, There's not enough people out there that are willing to stick their neck out to help you,
Boy, I know it.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad. I've said pretty much all I.
Well, thank you for sharing with everyone. Where are you going from here? So you're gonna take a couple days off?
Yeah, I'm gonna go up on the ranch. I found a little bit of work up on the ranch, and I'm gonna go up and get me a couple of days of work. It'll help, It'll just helps make ends meet. I mean, it's not nothing major I do. I do some cleaning up in a guy's house, and I sweep and pick up tools and stuff around the shop. But it helps.
Would you say this as we conclude that I know I'm grateful that I'm blessed by the Creator and the way synchronicity operates, that I am here in a place like this part of Colorado, not Denver, not Colorado Springs, but here right now as we're going through this, because there is something beautiful about where we are. And you're talking about Santa Fe, New Mexico. Despite the police issues, there's something beautiful, and some could even say mystical or spiritual about this land that, for some of us that have stuff in our heart that aches at times, it kind of helps to be around the beautiful mountains. And
well, people in this country, they're so stuck on what society has put out there for it. Like the story says, sometimes you got to stop and smell the roses.
Smell the roses, view the mountains, hike the mountains.
Hike them. Spend time with family.
Go down to the river.
Go down to the river. Just
eat some good meat that hasn't been poisoned. There's a lot of good meat out here that you don't get at Safeway and Kroger and Fred Meyer.
Just people, if you're listening, have an open heart. Don't prejudge us by what society has put us out to be. Because we're not all bad people. We just want a chance to be able to survive. And I love everybody. I don't prejudge nobody. That's what's wrong with this country today. Everybody's, he's homeless. He ain't no good. This is a crooked cop. Everybody is there to prejudge somebody before they actually walked up to that person and shook their hands and took a step in the direction that they had to live their life.